Yeah, it'll be great to be back with our team today. A week ago, we practiced Monday through Thursday, and so the team had Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. They worked really hard last week. I'm anxious to see them, and hopefully they had a great weekend of rest and renewal and reconnection and just a chance to touch up and reset on things that maybe get neglected when the season's going full throttle. This bye week now frames 3 conference games straight, then another bye, and then 4 conference games. So the rest of it now is the conference race. So lots of exciting challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. I'll take questions.
Hey, Coach. Eric Francis, 106.9 fan. I've been curious to see if the number of players without jersey numbers might change after the bye week. It doesn't appear to have changed much, if any. At this point in the season, are these guys not going to get jersey numbers?
No, it'll continue all the way till the last game of the season. And so in our program, each Thursday, the coaching staff and those that are working with those young men, they nominate basically who we call them Mad Hatters. Rather than wearing pennies, there's colored hats they put over their helmets, which reflect and represent the opponent each week. And so they submit nominations for Hatters of the Week, offense, defense, special teams. There's been 3 players that are repeatedly winning the Hatters of the Week. So again, as someone without a number is nominated for the Hatter of the Week, then that gives them a chance to earn their jersey. There's just a number of players battling so hard every week, they're kind of hard to dethrone. But that opportunity is available every single week. And so there are no restrictions. It's open for anyone that can battle and earn. And yeah, so we're optimistic and hopeful. And the players are working really hard. So the culture is vibrant. But it'll be open all the way through the bowl game.
Coach Mendenhall, Jason Turner from the Herald-Journal. How beneficial-wise was the bye week in regard to mending nagging injuries and potentially getting a couple of guys back who missed Vanderbilt and maybe even beyond?
Remains to be seen. It looks like that the rest will have helped our roster. I'll notice and I'll see again today what those 3 days especially did, and that will frame kind of my maybe more accurate answer. Should have helped. I think it will have helped, and I'm looking forward to seeing a fresher and healthier roster, and looking forward to verifying that today's practice.
Coach, Jason Walker with Cash Valley Daily. I'll ask about one player in particular, Bryson Barnes. Any updates on him that's likely to play this week?
Yeah, so I haven't made any comment yet. Anxious to visit with medical and see practice today, and then I can be accurate as to where exactly he stands. And I don't intend to keep it a secret. I'll announce as soon as I can get verification.
Coach Mark Green with Utah Statesman. Hawaii is also coming off of bye week. How do you think that fares? Just the 2 teams have now had 2 weeks to scout each other, basically, coming into this game.
Yeah, I think it's fair, number one, and I think anytime it's possible to have both teams having a bye or neither having a bye, I think that makes it better. Hard to speak for Hawaii and their program in terms of, I believe, coming off Air Force, which it's always nice for them, I'm sure, to come to the mainland, go back, and then not have a game right away, just like it would be for us. And so I think it's probably a nice set point. They've played Fresno State and Air Force, so 2 conference games before they kind of reset for the rest of their season. So they probably feel similarly to us.
And then just both of these teams are offensively minded, throw the ball, move the ball a lot. What is kind of the message to your defense on that side to contain that, and then also your offense to try and keep pace?
Yeah, really challenging. Hawaii's offense around, somewhere in the mid-80s in terms of number of plays per game, and 40 or 50 of those are passes. So they're dynamic, they're wide open, and they're a challenge. I think the biggest improvement in Hawaii's program over Timmy's time there has been the last 2 years defensively. They've done a nice job on defense. They're playing complementary football at a higher level, and even from a year ago till this year, another step in progress. So, I think their program is just headed in the right direction.
So with Hawaii throwing the ball out, they can sometimes get one-dimensional, throwing 45, 50-plus passes. A lot of times you have a balanced offense, keep defenses honest. What does Hawaii do to try and keep defenses honest, even if they're still throwing the ball?
Yeah, more intentional this year than ever on running the football. So that was the first thing that I noticed. Is their intent to run the football? Obviously, they have a really nice screen game as well, but their intent to run the football, how that's blended and integrated, I would say is at a higher level and more intentional. It's not diminishing or taking away from their ability to throw the ball, but they're more intentional on being able to do that. And I think, again, with the way their defense is playing, I think they feel like they can do that, not have to possibly be quite as wide open as they normally are.
Coach, their kicker is 16 of 16 on field goals this season. How impressive has he been? But at the same time, how maybe encouraged are you that they haven't been as efficient in the red zone?
Yeah, both. So it's difficult to be 16 out of 16. I'm sure they would like those to be touchdowns instead of field goals if they're red zone specific. But one of those was a game winner against Stanford. And so, again, when teams travel there, if you think about two of the games this year, Stanford went, Hawaii kicked a field goal to win the game. Fresno goes and has to stop a 2-point conversion to win the game. It's a formidable challenge to go to the island, and you need to plan on playing 4 quarters of football when you go. And so their kicker, or their field goal kickers, it's a nice asset to have if he's that accurate.
Coach, getting back to the bye week, your involvement, your coach's involvement, getting out and taking the opportunity to go recruiting during the off week for you guys. Did you stay pretty much closer to home, or were you guys all over the place this last week?
Yeah, in relation to our recruiting efforts, mostly in-state. However, we had players and we had coaches out of state as well for specific targets, specific commitments, and players that we needed to see in relation to our needs or to hold on to their commitment. And that part was really beneficial. And it's always nice for routine breaks for not only players but coaches also. So the coaches that were in state were able to get back home and be with their families, and those that were out of state, that's also a kind of a nice break to, rather than playing a game, just travel, drive to the game, watch a high school or junior college game, whatever it might be, and then come back and have a Sunday of football or a Saturday night of football, because most of those games were on Friday. And so I've just sensed kind of a renewed energy from our whole organization as they've come back.
And then I guess in concert with that, going to Hawaii, it's always a neat opportunity for some recruiting there. And just generally with a lot of Polynesian players that tend to play at Utah State, that chance to get back to the islands. Just how important is that game for a lot of players that are part of that culture on your team?
Oh, I think it's great. College football, anytime you have a chance to play, go home to play, it's a special opportunity. We have lots of Pacific Islanders on our team, and really more than anything, I'd like them to have success. It's great to be able to go home and play well and win, and the hugs and smiles and celebrations with family members after the game, which are going to happen regardless. But when you play well, it's just a different tone and better. And so I'm anxious and hopeful that will happen for our team.
Coach Mendenhall, I've read rumblings that Ike Larson is practicing again. Is there truth to that? And if so, what's the transition been like?
Yeah, Ike was reinstated on Tuesday of last week. And so Ike practiced with us Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And it's been really business as usual. I addressed the team briefly. As Ike was in the team meeting, I addressed the team briefly. It was a 7-week suspension. He's worked hard to work through all the requirements that I thought were appropriate, and the team has welcomed him. And again, it really has seemed like it's just been business as usual since then. And my hope is that Ike has a fantastic finish of the season, both on and off the field and academically and everything else. I'd like it to see it really end well for not only him but our program.
I want to ask about Hawaii's quarterback, Mike, where he's had 4 games, I think, across his career dating back to last season, where he's got like an 11-0 touchdown ratio. But he's also got a couple of games, I think the Fresno and Arizona games, where he's on 1 touchdown and 4 interceptions. What have you seen from those defenses that had a lot more success versus ones where he kind of tore them apart?
Yeah, quite a contrast in the Arizona game. So Arizona, not maybe necessarily the variety of looks that he was seeing, and not necessarily confusion. Just really good players on defense, either through pressure or coverage that were making good plays. And then Fresno, there was some deception involved in what they did, and their quarterback, Hawaii's quarterback, is skilled. He's elusive. He throws well. He's confident, and just does a really nice job. And so Fresno, in some critical situations, really their disguise and different things kind of lured him into a few throws. But Arizona, the talent probably, and just players making plays. So two different stories, but those kind of seem as the outliers. More often than not, he's very successful, very consistent, and plays really well.
Kind of similar with that against Vanderbilt. Obviously, their passing game is really kind of took control of that game. They're obviously a top offense in the country, but what are some things that you saw looking back on that game that you can adjust and fix?
Oh man, there's certainly some technical things in terms of just playing the positions that we're playing that we could have executed well. Tactically, some change-ups and different things that would have complemented maybe at a higher level, and just execution consistently. Two touchdowns for sure that easily were preventable, but our execution, again, so far against the better opponents on the road, meaning Texas A&M and Vanderbilt, our defense has played differently statistically than our 3 home games. And so, looking forward to add more consistency on the road and against better opponents.
I want to ask about a couple of other players. Number 30, their running back, Landon Sims, where you mentioned more emphasis on the run game. He's been kind of their leader in rushing. He also has 22 receptions, which is a career high. He's only played half the season. What have you seen out of him in terms of his role and what he's done?
He's tough. He's physical. He's I don't know him as a person, but just no nonsense and just dragging players for yards. And he adds a physical presence to their team. So I've really been impressed with him. And I can't say what percentage of those catches have come through the screen game, but the screen game is really what keeps pressure, or one of the things they use to keep pressure off their quarterback. And so most of those screens go to him as well.
And then their wide receiver, number 5, where he's 38 receptions. What about his skill set? Him as a receiver, presents the biggest challenge for you.
Their receivers, they've got a million passes between spring practice and summer and fall camp and the off season. And again, it's not a matter of if they catch the football. Rarely do you see a drop. So they're just sure-handed. They've been in the system a significant amount of time. They execute really well, and they're just really seasoned.
So with the passing, you guys have done a pretty good job of swarming to the ball on short throws. That's something you've had a pretty good time with. Do you feel like that's going to play a big role in this one?
It's going to have to. Whether you're defending a run game or a pass game, multiple helmets to the football matters, and so leverage is really important. Certainly good players have to beat blocks and make plays, but the more players that are around the ball, the better, especially when you're playing a team and teams where the margins are thin, and that's really the Mountain West Conference currently, and I see it being that way down the stretch.
So Hawaii's coming off a win over Air Force. It was a similar game to the one that was played here. Is there any advantage or things that you can take away from having a similar or a common opponent to certainly a conference play?
I think everyone's looking for comparisons as much as possible. I alluded to Air Force playing Boise relatively early in the year with a similar score as well. So before you play each other, you're trying to see, was there a common opponent? What did it look like? And so it gives you clues, not sure answers, but it gives you clues as to what it might look like, which is all we've done.
Every game we've been in so far, I think, has been decided by 2 or more touchdowns. Computer projections, for what they're worth, say I think the next 6 of the last 7 games are expected to be with 1-possession games. What challenges do you think will present, assuming that happens, and you feel like your team is ready for that?
Yeah, part of it's getting them ready for that, and that is basically been our message. Is we think the Mountain West Conference is wide open. We think there's almost complete parity, and it's too early to say otherwise, but that's what we're preparing for. And so if the computers say that, I don't know whether that's an endorsement or an indictment, but I guess we'll see. But I kind of see it the same way as of today, which is right October 6th. We'll just let it play out.
You mentioned their defense, and it starts with the run defense. It looks like they're holding teams under 100 yards, 3.8 yards a carry. How much does it start with that? And what have you seen schematically? What schematically about their defense has stood out that's allowed them to be as effective as they have?
Yeah, they're physical. They're tough. They like contact. A former player of mine from New Mexico is actually playing well for them, Dijon Benton, who was a transfer from USC. New Mexico, he had a surgery early on. And so it's been fun to see his progress as well. But interestingly, sometimes people call it the bear front. Sometimes they call it an odd front. There's mixtures of both with what they do. Not many teams around college football are kind of designed the way they are, so there's a uniqueness to what they do with kind of the physicality and the mindset and the aggression. So I think they're coordinated really well with some uniqueness and some good football players. And that's, again, when you complement that side with some uniqueness to their offense, with some uniqueness, they're starting to blend and to design a really nice program.
I want to bring it back to you on the quarterback room. In the event Bryson were to not play, would you expect the offense to have to change much with Jacob Conover coming in?
We'd prefer it not. We'd prefer it to be Jacob as much as possible. We know Bryson moves the ball many times and corrects mistakes with his legs, so there'd be a little bit less of that. And we'd probably have to find other ways to be able to manufacture that. But we have a lot of confidence in Jacob. And if Bryson's not able to go, it would be Jacob's role to have. And he would be backed up by C.J. Tiller. And then you'd probably see Anthony Garcia's role kind of expand somewhere between more athlete besides just receiver. All right, great. Thank you.